Our special guest today lost over 100 pounds without drugs or fad diets. He quit an established career in insurance and moved his entire family states away for an opportunity. And he also generated multiple millions of dollars in online sales using memes. Today, he is going to share with us his philosophy about success in business and in life through service to others so that we can crush each and every day. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. All you need is the right plan. I am super excited to have with me today Drewbie Wilson from Break Free Academy. Drewbie, thanks for taking the time, man. I'm happy to have you here.
Hey, thank you, Tim. I'm grateful for the opportunity and getting a chance to share some things with your audience, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to digging into this. Before we do that, let's jump into some rapid fire questions. Help us get to know you a little bit better. You ready to rock?
Let's do this.
Okay. So when you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
I like to hang out with my wife and my son, and we go on different adventures. Sometimes it's to a market, sometimes to an amusement park, but we're always just doing something together.
Cool. Love it. What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talent. I have a thing for remembering names and faces.
Okay. That's a good talent to have, man. I'm horrible at that.
It's weird, but it's come in handy quite a bit.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice I ever got. The wise man doesn't have to have the answer for every question, but he should know where to start looking for it.
That's a great piece of advice. Yeah, because we're never going to know everything, right? We just have to know where to get it. What's one thing about you that surprises people?
For most people, if they are just meeting me, it's hearing about my weight loss journey. But other than that, it's people kind of hearing my background and story, and kind of seeing where I'm at now and just the transformation that's happened.
Yeah. I can imagine that, right? Because, well, people that are watching can see this, but nobody would look at you and even think that you ever had a weight issue at all. So I'm excited to dig into that. What does success mean to you?
So success, what I love about success and something I've really dived into lately is the idea that success is a perception, right? So for every individual, success is a different thing. For some people, it could be lots of money and big houses and cars and material possessions. For someone else, it might just be, making enough to pay their bills and still have the time to go home and be with their family and go to their kids' soccer games or whatever, right? So I think the thing about success is that you shouldn't let yours be skewed by what someone else considers success. What makes you happy and feel fulfilled, because that's what success should be.
Yeah. Don't compare yourself to others, right?
It's hard, man, but
it's super hard.
When you start adopting that mindset and you just focus on yourself and the people closest to you, it's interesting how things change.
Yeah. Where's your happy place?
Either with my wife and my son doing something cool, or I love long distance bike rides. So, a 100-mile bike ride isn't something out of the ordinary to catch me doing on a Saturday, and just being out there, that's kind of like my meditation zone.
So I'm assuming you road bike then?
Yes, I rode BMX bikes growing up, trick X Games stuff, and then got into road bikes as I got a little older, less high impact on my body, and fell in love with it.
It's kind of hard to mountain bike in Texas, isn't it?
There's some trails, but I don't really love the mountain bike stuffing as much. I like the road, man, because like I said, it's something I can go out there and just get in my little zone and just do my thing.
Yeah, do your thing. I love it. What qualities do you value in people with whom you spend time?
Integrity and punctuality.
Two very good things. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing today with Break Free Academy before we jump into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I am currently the vice president of Break Free Academy. We are a coaching and consulting company. Essentially, it's a community of like-minded, success-driven individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners, and we all have the same mission, which is to match our reality to the most elite version of ourselves. So it's a very high-level business mastermind. designed to just really help people become that best version of themselves.
And what are the different programs? What type of all different kinds of entrepreneurs and business
So
owners?
yeah, so we have our flagship program is called Apex. And we have 3 tiers of that program based on where you're at in your life and in your business. So on a foundational level, the first things you have to learn as an entrepreneur are sales, marketing, and networking, right? You got to know how to sell stuff. You got to know how to find people to sell it to, and you got to find the right people to connect with to build those relationships, referrals, things like that, right? So that's kind of our foundational. Then as you become an entrepreneur, it's like, hey, I've got to learn how to hire people. I need to delegate some of these tasks off of my plate so I can focus on these bigger picture items. But until I can get rid of some of these day-to-day tasks, I'm never going to be able to get to that next level. Once you've hired 5 or 10 people and you can step away from your business for a month or two and know it's not going to burn to the ground, right? You're more of an executive or a CEO. So it's one main program, but it's tiered levels of coaching based on where you're at in your life
Where
and in
you're at.
your business to make sure you're getting the right kind of solutions to the problems you're facing.
Yeah, I love it. So you mentioned your weight loss. Let's dig into this. What kind of mindset did it take for you to go from 315 pounds down to 200 pounds without drugs or fat diets?
Man, growing up, I always struggled with my weight. I was always the husky kid. When I was 13 and in middle school, I was shopping in the adult section for pants because I was just a big kid. And we always grew up convenience eating. And my mom was a single mom, and I had 2 other brothers, so we would always eat as fast as we could, so we didn't, go without. And so I always struggled with weight. And as I got older, I went through phases where I would lose weight and gain weight and lose weight and gain weight. And then I was at my lowest point, probably around at my highest point, 315. I had dropped down to about 225, met my wife, and kind of got comfortable and then put on a few pounds as we started going out and doing, like that's the stuff that happens. And then she
Yes.
got pregnant and, the sympathy pregnancy weight was a real thing in our house. And I got it back up to about 285 pounds at one point. And when my son was born and I was struggling, like doing things and moving him and picking him up, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be the dad that can't play at the park with his son because he's winded. I don't want to be the guy that's sitting on the bench with my pits all sweaty,
Yeah.
because I can't, because I didn't take the time to make myself a better person for my son and for my wife, right? Like my wife married a guy that did not look like the guy I was at that time. And so I started having those thoughts of like, hey, what am I doing here? Like it's one thing to put on a couple pounds, but this is a whole different thing, dude. Like you're reverting back to your old tendencies. And so
Yeah.
I told my wife, I said, hey, I find myself tossing and turning in the morning and kind of feeling like I should get up, but I just hit the snooze button until I got to get up and go to the office. And at the time I was selling insurance. And, I was like, I think I'm just going to get up and go for a walk and maybe just try to get my mind right, because at this time I was doing well in sales with the insurance gig, but I didn't feel fulfilled. Like I was making all these marks and getting all these awards, but like I didn't feel great about the job.
Yeah.
And so it was all kind of coming together. I was like, hey, I'm going to get up and go for these walks, and I'm going to start listening to YouTube and podcasts and like books on Audible, right? And just this motivational, inspirational kind of stuff, trying to find myself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, right? I would get up every morning around 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and I'd go for walks, and I'd listen to guys like Ed Milet and Jim Rohn and Ryan Stewman and these different the mentors that were out there giving away all of this free content. And so that's what I started doing. I did that consistently, and then I got back into road biking and picked up a road bike and really fell in love with that side of it. And so I realized for myself personally, I never liked working out. I don't like going to the gym, but I fell in love with the cardio. And that's what allowed me to really lose the weight, is like I could use that time as my own meditation, my own time to get my thoughts right. And I could do 2 things at one time because I could go and work out and do something that kind of sucked. But the reward was when I was done, I felt great and I was fired up to go do something inspirational or powerful in my life because of the content that I was just like binging during that time.
Yeah. It seems like, so there was really a point of critical mass for you where you were married, you had your first child. That kind of got you really thinking about, man, I need to make a change. But then the second part of that, which is I think where a lot of people struggle, is building the habit or the habits that they need to have in place to get to where they want to be. And you built that habit, and because you built the habit, now you don't even think about it, right? It's like you don't, at least for me, like I exercise every weekday. I get up at 5, I meditate, I exercise. I don't even think about it. I don't feel right if I don't do it. And so it's just become this thing that I don't even think about anymore. And it sounds like that's kind of similar for you. It's just become part of your life at this point.
Yeah, one of the things I talk about a lot, and we'll probably get a chance to dive into this here later in the call, is the value of intentionality with your time, right? Like you said, you got to a point now where it was so routine and consistent that if you don't do it, you feel guilty.
Yeah.
And so that's how you rewire your mind. And for me, it was the routine. And that's why I was like, hey, when you're teaching a kid to walk, you don't just do it once in a while, like every day, a couple times a day. You're like, hey, let's stand up and try to walk across the couch. It's the same thing with everything in our life and every habit. If you're not consistent with it, it's not going to stick.
Yeah.
And so that's where you have to, I think the thing that most people forget to do is do things that make them feel good. They kind of get into that box of like, oh, well, I have to go to the gym and work out. And I personally don't really like the gym. I've gotten better about it now that I've found a gym and people that I like being around. But if it was just up to me to go to the gym by myself, I never would do it
Yeah.
because I don't like that. That's not my atmosphere. But I love a walk. I love riding my bike outside and being in the fresh air and being able to clear my thoughts. And so I think people underestimate the value of something like going for a good long walk, right? Go walk 3 or 4 miles, spend an hour, hour and a half walking. It'll get your heart rate up. And then
Yeah.
that's just the routine, right? And then you start like saying, oh, well, I feel pretty good about that. I wonder how I would feel if I did this or did that, right? And that's how you can explore and expand on those different habits that will get you into that health mindset.
Do you feel like it was your why your why was strong enough for you to be consistent about the routine? Would you say
I
that?
knew that if I didn't do it, I wouldn't live long enough to be there for my family, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah. So it was the why that got it started and helped you stick with the routine. And now that you've got the routine, you're good.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I love it. So let's dig into insurance. You touched on the fact that you were in insurance for a while. You were successful. Things were going well, and I'm assuming one day you went to your wife and you're like, "Hey, honey, I want to pick up and move to Texas and do something totally different. Are you with me?"
That's like the short version. No,
Yeah.
the longer version of it is this, right? So I was selling insurance. I was like peaking my market, top 3 or 4 people in the market every month consistently for numbers and sales. And I was kind of at that plateau of like, hey, I'm working a lot, but I want to make more money, right? I'm seeing all these guys out here on the internet talking about how they're making, 10, 15, $20,000 a month. And I'm just going, man, I'm making like 3 or 4 and I'm working hard. Like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And so again, the basics. Hey, I know sales. Now I need to learn marketing. If I could get more leads to talk to and sell, then that's just more money I can make. So I started exploring online marketing. And that's where I learned all that stuff about, Facebook funnels and pay-per-click advertising and websites and all these different things. And so I kind of dove into that realm, got good at the marketing, learned how to generate some leads for myself in the insurance industry, had a few other agents that said, hey, man, I see you're like making a lot more sales all of a sudden. Like, what are you doing? I said, well, I got this new marketing thing I figured out, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool little deal. And they're like, well, I don't have time to learn it, but how much for you to set it up and run one for me? So I'm like, all right, well, $1,500, $2,500, whatever. And they're like, okay, cool. We're paying $5,000, $10,000 a month for leads. Like, we'll definitely pay you to try it. Like, we've thrown money at way worse things.
Yeah.
So I went down that path, right, and started learning the marketing. Then I started selling it as a service, and now all of a sudden I'm going from making $4,000 a month working my tail off in the agency to making $5,000 or $6,000 on a weekend doing marketing services for these guys. And then so it expanded to real estate agents and mortgage officers, right? Well, then that got me further plugged in with Ryan Stewman here at Break Free Academy and our Apex coaching program, because I was like, hey, like, what's the next step from here, right? Like, I kind of got sales and marketing, but I'm not really plugged in with a network of people. So I got plugged into Apex, started helping people in the Apex. And then Ryan calls me one day and he says, hey, man, like, I like all the support you're giving my people. You're helping a lot of folks. Would you be interested in coming on as like a support role for the company? I'll give you like a small base retainer and, kind of see how it goes. So I was like, well, sure, man, I'll take the opportunity. And started doing that. Started making a couple sales because I was helping people, like serving them, like, hey, man, what do you need? How can I help you figure out your problem? And they're like, all right, well, you helped me do this. What's up with that other Apex program? How do I get into that? So I called Ryan. I said, hey, man, these guys, I want to buy some stuff. What do I do? Go. What do you mean? Go sell it to them. Help them out, dude. So I start selling a couple people. I meet with Ryan, and he's like, dude, you're in the wrong business. Come work with me. We can change a lot of lives together. I will show you the way to becoming massively successful beyond anything you ever imagined. And so, yeah, man, I had to make that hard decision of, do I walk away from 6 years in insurance where I can be comfortable but not totally fulfilled? Or do I take this opportunity and go into something that could totally blow up in my face, but what's the worst that happens? I go back to selling insurance, So I start working there remote. 6 months in, I went back home because I was flying back and forth a lot. I said, all right, babe, I think we need to move to Dallas. Like, this is the next step. And, nope, absolutely not happening. We went back and forth on it. And ultimately she said, like, I believe in you. I will support you on this journey. And so we put our house on the market. 24 hours later, had a full price offer. And within 60 days, we had packed everything up and one-way ticket to Dallas.
So what do you think, what was your biggest learning experience from that process?
Biggest learning experience from that process: don't skip opportunity when it shows up.
Yeah. I guess that also starts too, you have to have the ability to recognize opportunity first, right?
Yes. And I think that is part of it, is just being open to opportunity, and also being open to what does that next best version of yourself look like, right? Like, are you comfortable, or do you know there's something deeper inside of you that you want to bring out? And are you willing to commit to that? Because you can't go half in, half out, right? Like, you got to be willing to commit to it.
You got to jump in with both feet or it's not going to work, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's talk about memes. A lot of people see memes. They love memes, so they make them laugh.
Yep.
Let's see what we can pull out of this that people can use within their business. So you use memes. Let's talk about how you use memes to generate online sales.
Love it. Happy to. So I love memes. I grew up in that age where we were like making memes and sending memes. And, I'm in like 17 different Facebook group chats where we all try to find the funniest memes. And so, like, I've always just loved them. And one day I was going through making sales, and I do a lot of sales in Facebook Messenger DM and like text message DM these days. I get on calls, but a lot of it is just conversational. And so I had a lot of people had gotten to the point where it was like, I had given them a price, I told them all the breakdown, handled all their objections, and they kind of just went ghost, right? Like, if you've been in sales before, you know what it means to get ghosted.
Yes.
And so I went in and I found a couple of funny memes that were like, a guy on a bench holding a cell phone like a skeleton. And I just went, waiting for you to call back. And I sent it to a bunch of people that had ghosted me. I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They don't respond. And of the 20 people I sent it to, I got 15 responses within an hour. Like, and these are people that had like ghosted me for weeks, months on end. Just out of like the blue, I hit them with this meme, and they respond back and they're like, oh my God, that's hilarious. I've been meaning to catch up with you. And so I then go on to, go ahead.
Is this with sales that you're making through Breakthrough Academy, or?
Yeah. So this is for our coaching and consulting company. And this is packages ranging anywhere from $5,000 a year to $50,000 a year. Okay. So I start sending these memes and people start responding. I start having, picking the conversation back up, close a few deals. I probably closed, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000 in deals just from those people that had completely ghosted me. And I was like, I'm going to send them a meme and see what happens. So now I'm in my mind going like, is this a fluke or like, what's the deal here? So I reach out to a couple of friends of mine that are in the sales world and I say, hey, try this. They all try it. They hit me back. They're like, dude, I got responses from people that I never expected a response from. This is crazy. And so that started the wheels turning. It's like, okay, maybe there's something behind it, right? What's the reasoning for this? Well,
Yeah.
everybody loves memes. Most people, when they're sending follow-up messages, they use like canned copy paste nonsense. It's like very vague. And then when you send a picture to somebody, when they get like a text message as a picture, or a message that's like, oh, you got a picture, it's like subconsciously you're like, well, what did this guy just send me? Like, I can't see the preview of the, hey, John, I'm just following up.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you got a picture. So then they open it up and they look at it and, they're going to laugh because everybody loves memes.
Yeah.
And then it's just that psychological, like, oh, this dude's normal. He's not just trying to sell me something. Like, he's a normal guy. I can that know, like, and trust factor comes back because there's some emotional connection, a trigger there of like, oh, yeah, I did ghost that guy. That's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. You know what I mean? Like that's what it does. And so I went on and created a course and said, hey, like, what's psychologically the process here, right? Like, how can we address this? How can we find the right kind of content, the right image, the right copywriting material to put on the meme so that it actually like gets attention and attracts people to take an action?
So are you just pulling memes from the internet? Are you creating your own memes?
So I create a lot of custom memes. Yes. So I do custom memes for people. So I'll like put a meme with someone's name in it to really like personalize it. Then I have a couple different resources where I can find blank templates and images that I can go in and then utilize and create my own memes out of. So one of the things I do every day is I make 2 to 3 brand new memes from like a resource of different images. So I'm always trying to come up with new content and create new memes that are relatable to the sales community and to the, the coaching and online world, because that's my audience. So that's part of the process. And I know my audience, so I know what they're going to relate to and what kind of experiences they're having and going through. So I know how to create the content that gets their attention and then gets them to respond and want to speak to me about what I'm doing.
So you're creating your own memes. You've got a stable of memes at this point. If you're sending them out, you're gonna put in their name in the meme, and then you're inserting the meme in the email, are you putting in additional text to follow up on?
So I'll send them in emails and I'll send them in text messages or in DMs, and I like sometimes will personalize them. Sometimes I just reuse the same meme. Like I have a swipe file in my phone of like 100 different memes that I've used for follow-up. One in particular that I've used that I can trace back to multiple millions in dollars in sales, just one specific image that I've used in the follow-up process to rejuvenate the conversation. And people seem to love it, man. It's crazy.
So you use them. It's not just when people ghost you, it's other follow-up messages. You've got different memes. Are you always using memes, or do you kind of stagger it depending on what's going on?
I stagger it, but I almost always use it. I've kind of gotten to that point where people know me for it, so I think sometimes they kind of just wait to see what I'm gonna do. And it's crazy. And I don't mean to rush, but I do have another appointment that I've got to get to here shortly.
Yes.
So I want to tell you I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here, though.
So I appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of people have no idea that you could even do that. So where can people learn more about you, Drewbie?
Yeah, so if you go to connectwithdrewbie.com, and he's got it scrolling here on the banner, it's Drew BIE. So connectwithdrewbie.com. I've got my Closer Memes course where I can teach you how to do this yourself, teach you all the resources and best ways to implement it. I've got all my social media, so if you want to follow me, learn more about this process, feel free to reach out, man. I've built my whole career on trying to help others become more successful in what they're doing. So I'm always happy to connect and help people that are on the rise.
Awesome. Drewbie, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for you guys for tuning in today. I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. If you want to gain clarity on where to focus your marketing efforts right now, hop on over to our website at rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. Click on the Get a Free Consult button. Be happy to help. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take care.